In this video, we are going to take a look at UConn, taking a look at where they're at and their recent run of injuries and what impact that might have. In addition, we'll focus on those overcoming injuries, that being AZ Fudd, and how she might be on the best run of her career. Before we start, if you enjoyed the content, then please consider subscribing to the channel and giving the video a like. Now, obviously, injuries are a part of the game, and UConn is well aware. And once again, this season, they are suffering injuries, although the impact is not as much thus far as it was in previous seasons when they lost AZ Fudd and Paige Beckers. But nonetheless, let's go through these. So they've lost Patterson with a shoulder injury. And thus far, her career has been very much snake-bit by injuries. First the knee, and now the shoulder, and it's just really like she should make a full recovery from the shoulder. Hopefully she can have a good year next year, but yeah, it's just been one injury after another. The other player whose long-term status is unclear is Caroline Ducharme. There have really been no updates about when she will return. Like, she practices as she's able, but my suspicion is UConn will keep her out the rest of the year and then try to reboot her before 25-26 and have one last roll of the dice. I think it goes without saying, everybody wishes Caroline Ducharme the best, and with a concussion injury like she has, they're just really tough because you can feel good one day and then the next day you don't. She still wears earplugs, I see sometimes on the sidelines, and it's one of those cumulative things. Once you get one concussion, doesn't make subsequent concussions easier to get. And I think I'd say most fans are a little bit worried that we don't want this girl to do long-term damage to herself, and that's obviously why UConn is playing this so cautious. Now, the other player that is out for the season is Morgan Shelley. They have just announced that she is has undergone right ankle surgery. In the last few games, she's been wearing a right moon boot during the game, so you knew something wasn't right with her, and sure enough, that's the case. I guess it's a little bit concerning because Shelley did deal with foot injury. Like, she had a foot injury one year when at Midi Archbishop in high school. Like, that's a pretty good program in California, and she's well coached, and she missed parts of 2 seasons, her junior and senior year. I'm not sure. One was a foot sprain, it was called, so I don't know if she had like a stress reaction in her foot or what the actual injury was. They never disclosed it, and I don't even know which foot that was on. The other one, I believe it was like a hamstring injury. When she first came to UConn as well, she was dealing with a hamstring issue that Gino said that she'd carried in high school. Now, the last injury that has an impact is Ice Brady. She has been out with a left shoulder injury. She's left-handed as well. Now, Brady had been in a brace. She's out of the brace. Gino said like about a week ago that she was 3 weeks away. So that's the question. I think it'll be a matter of when she gets back into it, will the shoulder hold up or not? Because oftentimes what they do, they try to strengthen it up and see if it's good enough. Unfortunately for Brady, it hasn't been the breakout year that she had hoped. So a lot was on her to sort of step up and take that 4 position or be able to swing between the 4 and the 5. And for the most part, she and El Alfie split time. But then in some ways, I'm not saying it was a good thing she had the injury, but I wonder if the injury has given El Alfie some more confidence as she's not constantly looking over her shoulder to see if she does something wrong, she's going to get yanked straight away. The best game El Alfie's played so far was versus South Carolina, where she pulled out things she hasn't done before, like a crossover unexpectedly on Joyce Edwards, and it was her best game to date. Now, is that just she's finally put it all together, or is it one of those situations where, yeah, she doesn't have to be looking over her shoulder? That's a little bit unclear. And again, stressing, not wishing or saying the injury to Brady is a good thing. As you could see how she would have been utilized against Tennessee, that's the specific team where Brady would be quite helpful, as El Alfie struggled to cover their smaller 5s that could shoot, but at the same time, UConn was getting hammered a bit on the board. So that would be, if she was available, a good thing. But is it a season devastator if Ice Brady's not back up to form? Probably not. And of course, one of the big reasons for that is that Aubrey Griffin has made her return, and her minutes are slowly building. So versus St. John, she got 21 minutes and went for 10 points. South Carolina, she only got 9 minutes, and that was because basically the lineup where they had Paige playing the 4 with Sarah Strong at the 5, that one was crushing so much with Ashlyn Shade as well. There wasn't the need, but after that game versus Seton Hall, she got 18 minutes, 15 points, going 5 of 5 for shooting from the floor. So she is building quite nicely, and you can see how it will work out in terms of their rotations when they go into the tournament, because they'll start with El Alfie at the 5, and then they can go small, moving Strong to the 5, and then they've got the option to put Paige Beckers at the 4. If they don't like that, then they can put Griffin at the 4, and they can sort of mix and match the two of them. So that obviously lessens the impact of those two injuries. The other big impact or player coming back from injury is AZ Fudd. And obviously she is the toast of the town with her 28-point performance versus South Carolina. But if you look at her numbers over the course of this season, when AZ Fudd goes well, UConn goes well. So early on versus Ole Miss, she really helped bail out UConn when things got tight in the third quarter, and she went 8 for 11 in that game for 18 points, and she was a big reason they were able to bring that game home easy. Then in the Louisville game, which prior to the South Carolina game was the best full game UConn had had. Unfortunately, that's the game where she got injured. But in that game, she went for 18 on 6 of 10 shooting. And then when she returned, it took her a while to shake the rust off. I think it's fair to say that she wasn't really back to herself until about the 9th of January when they played Xavier. In that game, she went for 23 points off of 9 of 14 shooting. And then from there, she's regularly been very solid, more often than not, getting over 10 shots, and that's really the key. Getting AZ Fudd 10 to 15 shots per game. And again, if she's having a game, then UConn is more than likely going to win. That was the problem versus Tennessee. AZ Fudd played 29 minutes and only had 10 points, and she only went 3 for 9. She really needs to just keep on shooting regardless of how she's going, and that's what she did versus South Carolina. If UConn fans had their way, they would wrap this team up in cotton and just transport them to the tournament right now. UConn and women's basketball have essentially 6 games. UConn's 3 regular season games remaining, and then 3 Big East tournament games left to get to one of the best reality shows we are going to see this year. Can Paige Beckers win a championship in her last year at UConn with her best buddy, AZ Fudd, who's also returning from the devastating knee injury and trying to live up to all the hype that was put on her as being the #1 recruit in college basketball? Thanks a lot for watching. Have a great night.